Okay, guys, mic check.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure before I just start talking and nobody hears me or whatever. Okay, so everyone, stream is up. So if you guys are want to listen up on this after the class is done, you can still do it via the Twitch link I gave in the ping. Okay, we are going to start out. So main part or the whole point of this class is industry and how to get started with it, how to get into industry, and what to do to make some ISK with industry, because many people start out with industry and then think, hey, I can't make any ISK out of T1 ammo. And they are mostly right with that. Because most people who are building T1 ammo kind of don't know what they have to do to actually make their ISK with it. So we're gonna start out. What do you need for industry? First of all, you're gonna need your ETH chars, obviously. If it's one or if it's more, for the beginning, one is obviously totally fine. Very quiet for anyone else. I think that's Twitch problem. Very quiet for anyone else. I think that should be fine. It's pretty okay if I turn up my volume on Twitch, so that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so when you're doing industry, obviously you need your ETH chars. So they should be in Omega. This helps a lot because the tax you're paying, the NPC tax you're paying for setting up build jobs as a non-Omega, they really do hurt. I think it's like 10-ish% you're paying, and they basically destroy your margins. So about that part, CCP kind of wants to disable industry for alphas, especially as you only have one job either, which makes it pretty hard to actually make some decent ISK with it anyway. So, what do you need else? You're gonna need a bid starting ISK. If you're building, whether it is for the market or whether it is for someone who orders stuff, obviously you need a bid ISK and you need the ISK you want to put into it up front. For the very beginning, you're fine with a few hundred mil. If you're going into deeper industry, want to make more money, you're looking at probably like 1 to 2, maybe 3 billion starting ISK. At that point, you can make some serious ISK with it. Obviously, you can make ISK with it before. However, you have to keep in mind your profit margins usually move for T1 usually move between like 5 to 10%, which is not too much if you only put in like 100 million ISK. So for the rest, you definitely want someone who reprocesses for you. For the starting of industry, you do not want your own reprocessing char because this takes a lot of training. This takes, I think, for all 5 on all ores, you need like around half or 3/4 of a year, something like that. Which is absolutely not worth it if you're not reprocessing a shitload of ore. Usually there are a few people in Horde who are reprocessing for you. You can check out the industry seeding channel and check out the pins there. If you scroll a bit down, there's a message from Meganos who has all the people who are doing reprocessing for you in a list. You can basically just ask in the channel if there's some guy online who is reprocessing, and yeah. Usually they will answer you and give you the details how to do it and so on. If you're doing it the first time, obviously don't be afraid to ask how you're doing it and so on and so on. Usually when you're reprocessing, however, you want to have the stuff in the refinery already because obviously the reprocessor don't want to move the stuff to refinery and back and whatsoever. They usually take around 1%. This taking means you're gonna pay 1% of the mineral value once you get the minerals back. However, if you do the maths on it, you're going if you're going max reprocessing, even with level 4 instead of level 5 on the ore reprocessing, you're still better off paying someone 1% than losing out on these 2%. For the next part, you want a location where you can build. This can be any kind of station where you can generally build. However, if you want to build for profit, you want a station that is rigged for this. In Horde, the stations are usually named by what they can do, with one exception, which is the Horde Industry Park. If you're gonna check stream, if you see it on stream, I'm gonna show real quick. Oh, if I didn't misplace my local. For example, we have the Asbel in R10, which is called T1 small, medium, large ships. Obviously, you can build T1 small, medium, large ships, time and material bonus there. There's a refinery in R10, which is where is it? There it is. T2 or an ice refinery. It is. We have other structures. We have a Raitaru for mods, drones, and fighters. We have a Raitaru for invention here. And we do have a Raitaru for ammunition and for structures and fuel here. Also, we do have a reaction Tatara. However, reactions are not going to be covered in depth here, because it's absolutely out of the scope if I'm doing only a 101. I'm gonna do a 201 at some point, probably next or the week after it. But for now, it's just absolutely breaking the time limit I have here with 1 hour-ish. So, once you found your structure, these are the structures in R10, obviously. There are more structures. There is a Sotio T1 rigged in GQ Tech, which is available to all Horde, which gives you the ability to build any kind of ships, modules, structures, whatever there. However, you have to keep in mind, if you're building T1 ships, you have to move them, or in general, if you're building there, you have to move it over to R10. So for T1 ships, you're generally better off building them in R10 and just moving them over to the Keepstar with a freighter or whatever kind of industrial, because you don't want to gate a freighter or industrial through the gate there. And generally speaking, using a jump freighter to jump over there from GQ Tech to R10 is not worth for T1 hulls, because they are pretty bulky for that price. So, next off the list. Once you have this, you want some blueprints. Blueprints are the base part of all industry. So, for the people who are currently not on the stream yet, you should probably just turn on the stream so you can see what I'm doing here, because it makes some stuff probably a bit more understandable. So, I'm gonna give you a minute to check in there. If you're not currently, just do it real quick so you can see what I'm doing here. So, in general, you want some blueprint. There are different kinds of blueprints. First of all, there are the original blueprints, which you can see by having them having a dark blue background. For example, we have the Atron here, which has a dark blue background. If we're going to check out the blueprints for some other, these are our blueprint copies, which means if I check this out, it has a light blue, bluish gray background, which means you have the how do I say it? Which means you have these different kinds of blueprints. Okay, so a blueprint original in general has infinite runs. There is a maximum run number shown up here. However, if you turn this up, this is limited by the fact that any industry job you're submitting can only last 30 days, with the exception if you are making something. You see here, there is 30 days and 15 minutes, which basically means you can start any job as long as or any amount of jobs as long as the last job isn't exceeding the 30 days. So if you're doing something that takes, like, I don't know, 14 days and 59 minutes, you can do 3 runs of it, because you have the first run being up to 15 days, or for 14 days, 30 sorry, 14 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes. Then 2 minutes before the 30-day border gets off, you're finishing. The second one is finished, and after that you can put another one up to it, so you have 3 runs as a maximum, and it's running 45 days. I wouldn't suggest it, but in theory it works. So that's the first thing of industry you have to keep in mind. Any kind of job that you're stacking cannot last longer than 30 days plus the amount of time that is needed to finish the last current running job. That's the first part. So with copies it works a bit different. If you check out copies, there we go, you see there is there's an amount of runs remaining, which means copies are generally limited by amount of runs. You can see you can't research them, you cannot copy them. However, you can invent from them. I'm going to cover that later. For the blueprint originals, you can now. You can. Not in this structure, because this structure doesn't support the research and copying. We have other structures for that. But you can do research. It takes a while, and this enables the blueprint to have a higher material efficiency or a higher time efficiency. Material and time efficiency means if you get a material efficiency up to level 10, or in general, if you get it up a level, it means for each level you're going to use 1% less materials for producing this blueprint. Keep in mind, these 10% are generally your profit margin on T1 stuff. If you're building with a 0% blueprint, you're usually not making any money on the stuff, or making very, very little money on it. Time efficiency kicks in a bit harder if you are running time efficiency. You also have 10 job runs for getting it up to level 10. However, in time efficiency you get 2% reduction in production time per level of research. So a maximum research blueprint is material efficiency 10, time efficiency 20, also referred as 10-20. That's the first part. So now there's copying. Copying means you can put an amount of runs per copy in it. For example, I want to do like 50. I want to do a 50 run copy of this blueprint. I can put in amount of runs here. So if I would start this now, it would take 5 days, 7 hours, 30 minutes until I get 10 50 run blueprints of the 250mm railgun 1 blueprint. So these things, they get important for invention, because you cannot invent from a blueprint original, and they also do get important when you're producing a lot. Which means, if I was to produce a Ferox takes, check real quick, Ferox takes like around 1 hour 4 minutes. So if, say, I have someone who wants a bunch of blueprints, obviously this is already researched. This is material efficiency 10, time efficiency 18, because I don't want to bother putting this blueprint into research for like, I don't know, 30 days or something for getting the last 2% time efficiency, whatever. If I'm producing 10 of them, or let's say I'm producing 10 of them, it takes me 10 hours 46 minutes. However, let's say someone wants a bunch of bunch of Feroxes, and I was ordering a bunch of Feroxes, and he says I want 100 Feroxes like in 2 days. You obviously can crank this up to 100, but then you realize this takes 4 days, 11 hours. This is on one slot. However, what you can do is you can do 10 times 10 runs, because on a maximum or a nearly maximum skill char, you get 10 runs, 10 manufacturing jobs. Usually you don't do the advanced mass production 5, because it just takes too long. It's not worth it. Like, getting up the advanced mass production 5 takes basically as long as getting a basic skill T1 industry char up to the mass production 5 advanced mass production 4, which means you can basically decide if you want to get 1 more slot on this char, or you want to get 10 more slots on another char on the same account, for example. So usually it's not worth getting the last one. maybe on chars that have like very very long training, like supercat production or T3 production, but that's another topic. For in general, if you have 10 rounds, for example, you could do 10 times with copies, which will cost you a little bit more because a copy obviously costs a bit. If you're doing copies, I can't see it here because we don't have the stuff here, but there's also a cost for making copies of a blueprint. You see, total job cost for 10 runs Feroxes would be like 61 mil. 61. Never mind. That's the. Oh, never mind. I can't see it on this one. Sorry. In general, however, it costs you a few thousand discs to make these copies. However, it's usually worth it for this stuff. Also, if you you have to keep in mind if you're doing something that takes very long to build, if the structure you are building in is getting reinforced and basically and killed, you are going to get the blueprint copy. You're going to lose the blueprint copy and the stuff that was in the blueprint. However, if it's not getting if it's getting killed and you're running with a blueprint original, the blueprint original is, if I remember correctly, going into asset safety. And BPOs are sometimes very expensive, and getting them out of asset safety can get very, very expensive really quick. So that's another security part, but usually on the small stuff you don't really need that. The important part is that you can run multiple lines for the same stuff or whatever. Also, you have to keep in mind blueprint originals can get very pricey. For example, a fully researched Ferox or in general a fully researched battlecruiser blueprint costs like $1 billion ISK. And there's a lot of blueprints that are pretty pricey, so running with copies can be a good part to start with, because copies are sometimes or usually very cheap if you buy in the Vegeta. You're paying like I think 200 to 300,000 discs for a 10-run Ferox copy in Vegeta. At least that was the last time I checked. Might have changed by now, but whatever. So that's the next part. For input materials, obviously, for the T1 ships, you only have this kind of stuff. You only have minerals. However, there are other kind of ships. For example, Draglavian ships. Draglavian ships need a bunch of materials too, but they also do need special materials. In this case, it's 0-point condensate and crystalline isogen 10, which is the two Draglavian built materials for T1 Draglavian ships. This is a part that you have to keep in mind. You have to source this stuff. For usual T1 production, this doesn't matter. As soon as you're going into T2 production, for example, let me see if I get a bunch of. Should have Saber blueprint, I think. Do? Yeah, I do. Okay, so this one, for example, in general, T2 materials T2 blueprints. They need a bit more materials than other materials. I'm going to come to this later. However, just keep in mind there can be different materials you need to build something. So back to T1. So now let's say you have decided on what you want to build. You have decided on what material. You have to find out what materials you need. So first of all, you're going to need a lot of materials if you're building bigger ships. You're going to need less material if you're building smaller ships or modules, obviously. So let's say we want to build a bunch of Nagas. Give me a second. There we go. Yeah, that's it. So this is a little sheet I made, and what it does is it's basically taking all the input materials. I play the busters here real quick so we can get some current values. What it does is basically taking all the input materials you need for a ship. Let's say we said we want to build a bunch of Nagas, so we put in the Naga. We say we have material efficiency 10. We want to build 10 Nagas. I think I missed out on putting I10 into this, so give me a second. So, there we go. Now we have R1 over there as well. And let's see.
User joined your channel.
In R10, this whole thing.
Microphone sound muted.
A second. So, there we go. In R10, this whole thing would take us these minerals. Roundabout. It's not 100% accurate because TCP round is sometimes a bit weird. And TCP's rounding techniques are sometimes cryptic. But yeah. Basically, what this sheet does, it takes all these materials it needs. It collects the materials you need for building, for example, the Naga, and calculates from this how much materials, how much ores you need at perfect reprocessing for making this work. So, what you can now do, you can basically just take this stuff, say Control Copy, put all this into appraisal. You see the amount of stuff again. It's like 420 mil cell, 365 mil buy. You can basically just copy paste this into your multi-buy Eve and get all the stuff from Jita usually, because you don't want to buy an R10. Buying an R10 is very, very expensive usually because the market is usually way above Jita for most stuff. So now you know all this. You know you need these materials. I probably shouldn't mess with my old spreadsheet here. You got the job cost. For some reason my ship cost is not loading right now. For reasons I don't know. Usually it should load. Probably just takes a while. You have a job cost of 3,707,000 discs roundabout for getting this up per ship. The total amount of ore you have there, that's basically the total price you're paying for getting your ore here, getting your ore moved. Sadly, because the job value isn't loading currently, and the single ship value is currently not loading, I'm not getting the profit and the estimated profit here. I'm gonna see if I can fix that after later, but yeah. Basically, that's the whole point of this spreadsheet, and it basically just tells you what to buy to get the materials. I'm going to link this real quick. Where's Twitch? I'm going to link this into Flayed into Twitch. I'm going to link the guide as well in a moment, but I'm just going to post it into industry seeding because I think everyone should be in industry seeding here. If you're not and you're interested in industry, you should absolutely get in there. It's an open group in Horde Square, so you can just go to your settings in Horde Square and show this real quick. You go into your settings in Horde Square, you go into groups, you go into open groups, and there you can join the industry seeding group. It's under my groups here, so where is it? There is industry seeding. This is how it looks like. You can basically just press join there in the open groups tab, and then you're in the channel, so you can see whatever I'm posting there. I'm going to paste the whole thread into that later, but yeah. So now you know what materials you need. So you have a few choices to get them back to home or to R10 from Jita. First of all would be bring them in yourself if you have a jump freighter, which you probably don't have if you're just starting out with industry. Second would be paying one of the courier services, which is currently Valhalla Industries, Scooty Puff Advanced Industries, and Karkinos. To get the stuff to R1 to Jita, from Jita to R10, sorry. Usually, yeah, I think currently still most people use Karkinos and Valhalla. They usually deliver pretty quickly, so you can go with them. Absolutely. Once you have your stuff in R10, obviously you're going to pay a bit for this. However, it's still cheaper than making a trip on your own with like some kind of T1 industrial and losing like 500 million in an industrial on the gate, because that's something you really don't want to happen. Once you have your stuff in R10 now, you're going to go to the refinery. You're going to ask in the industry seating, hey, is there any kind of reprocessor online? If one of your reprocessors says, hey, I'm online, then obviously get into contact with him. He's going to tell you what you can do and how you can, and how you're going to get your ore reprocessed with him. He's going to take the ore, get it reprocessed, contract the minerals back to you. After all this is done, you're going to pay the 1% fee, which is 1% of the value of the minerals. So you're getting all your minerals back, but you're paying a bit ISK for it. And once you did this, you're good with your new minerals. So let's say you have a bunch of minerals here. You move them over from the refinery to the EC-T1 small medium large ships. Now you want to build some stuff. Obviously, I'm not properly prepared because for reasons I forgot some stuff, but yeah. Want to make a ship. Let's say we want to make a Damavik, or do we want to make a Damavik? No, let's make a Vatmak. Basically, for this you're going to need materials. I just hope I have all the materials for this here. No, I obviously don't. Then we're just gonna make it make it smaller. There we go.
I can give me a second.
No, don't worry. All good. So, you see, we have a bunch of minerals here. We need just input materials. We have a bunch of 0-point condensate and crystalline isogen. All the stuff we need for building the stuff. We basically, in this case, I have to select corp hungers because I'm doing this on my old corp. If you're doing this privately, you only have your personal hunger here. It basically says personal hunger for input and output location, and you cannot change that. You're just gonna say start. It's going to pop up here. It pops up here. You see, Damavik is building. 30 minutes to go. 31 minutes to go. But yeah, once this is done, you can just take your completed ships out of your corp hunger or out of your personal hunger, wherever you're building that, and yeah, then it's going to show a little button here which is deliver. You just click the deliver button and your stuff is in here. For example, in this case I have 2 Kikimuras here that I just finished earlier today. So, any questions to this part? None. That's great. Check fleet chat. Yeah, you can use containers. That's right. For example, if I'm taking this one, it says input material location. It currently says it's in the container because I have containers in there. It automatically sets the input location and output location to the location of the blueprint. So in this case, I have a bunch of containers here. I can just set it to wherever I want it, and it's going to use the containers. However, using containers, it can be helpful. It can get really annoying if you're using big amounts of stuff. Then it sometimes gets a bit hard. You can use filters for this. For example, if you're let's say you're building T1 and capital stuff here. Or let's say you're building T1 capital stuff in GQ attack on the Soteo. For example, you could say you want I think there should be group. Yeah, there's a group, and it says, yeah, you can say group is mineral. Is there a mineral? Material. Yeah, and yeah, you can fiddle with that and try to find something out with that. Basically fiddle around with the filters, find a way it's set up for you, best for you. You can use containers. I'm not going to discourage using containers. They can be helpful. However, just keep in mind that containers can also make the mess bigger, and having to sort through everything can sometimes be very, very annoying. Yeah. So, also what I forgot about, there are some kinds that are called faction BPCs. Faction ships are only available in the form of blueprint copies. So, for example, this is a rattlesnake blueprint copy. This thing only has one run, so I can only build one rattlesnake out of this. And basically it works the same as any other ship. I just say I need this, I get all the materials here, I press start if I have the materials, and once it's finished I just press deliver, and my stuff is there. Okay, any questions? Sounds good. Okay, I have like half an hour left, which I really like. So we're gonna dive a bit deeper into industry, getting into the part where this is getting really serious. So with T1 industry, obviously can already make a lot of money. However, there are better ways of making money in industry, which is called T2 and T3. T2 in general is a pretty straightforward process once you get into it. However, it can get a bit overwhelming in the beginning. What I forgot about, there's a great page called cone.space. I forgot about telling you this, sorry. This page basically allows you to put in the stuff you want to build, put in the rigs on the structure you're building on, which is usually T1 rigs on all the structures we have here, except like with some exceptions. And yeah, it tells you what you need to buy mineral wise, or it tells you what you need to buy T2 material wise, and I'm going to get deeper into this now. So for T2 industry and also for T3 industry, however, I'm not going to cover T3 industry because the part you need to get into T3 industry is very, very hard. So just to give you a little idea, I think it's under science. Yeah, there we go. You need this skill up to 5, or the starship engineering skill up to 5, which takes 1.2 million SP. And you need the medium or small ship construction to 5, which is also second. Advanced medium ship construction and advanced small ship construction, which both take quite a bit of SP as well. So it's like 3 million SP you need to build your first T3 destroyer, and like 4 million to build your first T3 cruiser. However, that's with basic skills, and they don't really help you because the invention is pretty expensive. So we're going to get into this maybe later, but probably not today. So now back to making T2 ships. Let's see. Do I have? No, I think I don't have. Oh, I might have. Let's see if I have a slasher blueprint here. Yeah, I do. Okay, so if I wanted to do invention, I have to go to a structure where you can do invention, which is usually the Raitaru in Awano. There should be a Raitaru in GQ Tech as well. I'm not sure about that though. If someone knows, please correct me. I'm not sure. But yeah, you need a structure which is invention bonus, because I mean you don't need it technically, but you want it. So you're going into invention, and now you have this little screen. For invention, it takes 2 data cores, or 2 data core types, and a optional decryptor. These materials plus your blueprint makes a new blueprint. In this case, that's why I chose the slasher. You have the choice. You can choose you want to get a claw or you want to get a stiletto. This is because the slasher is the base ship for both the claw and the stiletto. For example, if we want to... no, I'm not going to do this with the slasher now. I can't do it anyway. Okay, whatever. If you want to build, if you want to make a claw, obviously get your cores, your data cores. In this case, it's high energy physics and starship engineering, and you can get a decryptor. So decryptors can be a bit tricky because decryptors are not always profitable to use, and it's not always profitable to use always the same decryptor. So another neat thing Cone does, if you go to Cone space and you say, for example, you want to invent from a slasher blueprint, you go to the little invention button and you choose, let's say you're doing it in a Raitaru with T1 rigs. It tells you the time tags for that in Avano, and yeah, put in your skills here. In my case, it's Advanced Industry 5, Science 5, High Energy Physics 4. I think that's what something like that. Whatever. Put in that stuff. However, if you put in this stuff, you will realize something. If you move this around, you will realize the chance changes. There we go. If you're going to if you're going to level 4, base chance is 42%. If you're going to level 5, base chance is 43. At level 1, it's only 38. So these skills are pretty important to do invention. For instance, in this, for a slasher, the base invention isn't that expensive. However, if you're doing modules, for example, or if you're doing any kind of bigger ships, big T2 ships, the invention can take a substantial amount of ISK. So what you now can see, there's a price per run. This price per run basically says your invention cost, which is, if it's a blueprint copy, I think it's assumed as 0 here in Cone. I'm not sure about that though. Plus the decryptor, plus the data cores you need for it. So the invention cost for getting a blueprint of that is 1.94 million ISK. The complete price, assuming there is no bonuses on the structure, of the final ship is 24.8 million ISK. You can now check through here. You see there's 24.82, there's 24.85, here's 24.82 again. Symmetry decryptor. So you can kind of figure if you want to use a accelerant, a symmetry, or a parity decryptor. I personally usually go with parity for the reason that they are forerun, which gives me the ability to be a bit more chill on doing inventions, doing a bit less inventions, and having more time to do copies and research and whatever. So in this case, for example, if we are using a parity decryptor, we would go here now and we would say, I want to use a parity decryptor. Now you see, output is a claw blueprint. Chance of success is 61.9%, and there you go. You can now, if I was in range, I could now start the job. I mean, I only have control range of 10, so that's not enough for this. But yeah, I could start the invention and get the blueprint. Once this thing finishes up, you can go to your jobs again. You can see the job here. You can click deliver, and it's going to tell you if it succeeded or not. You can also, what I forgot to tell you, you can also say I want to do 20 runs on this. So this blueprint copy has 20 runs. So if we go like say 10 job runs, it's going to run 10 inventions, and once it's completed, if you click deliver, it tells you, for example, 7 out of 10 inventions succeeded. And if you get completely unlucky and all of them fail, it says job failed. which also says job failed if you only run with one run. It also it says job succeeded if all the inventions of the invention run worked out. So yeah, basically of that you can tell how many of them worked, and after that obviously you can just count them in your inventory. However, so now we have the blueprint copy. So any questions so far about this? Nice. Now let me check in-game real quick. There we go. Okay. So next part. Now we got the blueprint. We want to produce a ship. So let's say we want to produce a saber. So I have the saber here, and I could now say I want to take it from input materials to output materials for the output location. If you're building a T2 ship, you're going to need the T1 ship as a base. So, for example, the saber is built out of a thresher. It's also invented from a thresher, so you need to build another thresher to build a saber. And then you're going to need a bit more morphite, which is the material you get out of reprocessing mercoxide. You need a few construction blocks, which is a P2, I believe, planetary material. I think so. It's tier 2. A tier 2 material. Tier 2 planetary material. And then you're gonna need all this stuff. All this stuff, you don't want to buy this. You want to make this. And for all this stuff, you need composites. Composites. Let me show you real quick. We have the plasma thruster, for example. I should probably take off the restriction. There we go. We have plasma thruster, for example. For building plasma thrusters, you need phenolic composites, ferrite carbide, and ferrogal. These three, just to name one example, are the materials you need for building this. In general, all these things can be bought either from Jita or locally. There's a lot of people doing reactions locally. Most of them are selling them at Jita Buy, which is basically the cheapest way to get them ever, to buy them here at Jita Buy, because you can't get them cheaper in Jita, and you also cannot get them cheaper in any way else, because you have to buy them there, you have to ship them in. So basically the cheapest way is to buy them locally. If there is some stuff you can absolutely not fill, then you can obviously go to Jita and buy them and let Karkinos ship them in. However, I would recommend trying to buy them locally. So, big question: how do I buy locally? Basically, if you how you buy locally is you're going to an industry seeding channel, and you're posting a post that looks like in a second. Give me a second. You're showing a post like, for example, what the hell is my thingy doing? For example, something like this. Basically saying you want to buy phenolic composites and ceramic fibers. Usually you put in a price you want to buy them at. And a location. So for example, this would say you want to buy a bunch of phenolic material, phenolic composites, ceramic fibers in our node at Jita Split or Jita Buy or whatsoever. Jita Split is a pretty commonly used term in terms of industry, which basically means it's a middle between Jita Buy and Jita Sell. So for example, if you're saying what to buy at Jita Buy and I want to know this stuff, if you post it into Discord, it would put one of these little nice boxes around it. You don't have to use these. they make it prettier and they make it more they make it like easier to see, but you don't absolutely have to. Just please do the sellers a favor and don't do what to buy underneath Praiser link, because you're not gonna get them filled, because not everyone just checks every ETH Praiser link that's posted in there. If you're doing something like that, you can obviously say want to buy this, all this stuff here. I show it in here, and then post an ETH Praiser link below that where all this is in, just to give them an overview how much it actually is. But usually, yeah, not what you want to do. Please. So yeah, once you got all this stuff, you can go into building all these. They take a bit higher skills. In this case, for example, the plasma starters, they take plasma physics as skill. The pulse generator, for example, it takes plasma physics as well. It's all plasma stuff here. Obviously, all the plasma stuff takes plasma physics. There are other. I think the nuclear reactor should take nuclear physics. Yeah, nuclear physics. I should probably take the normal one. It takes nuclear physics 3, and so on. This is basically the whole thing it works about. These things take pretty high skills to research them. If you want to research them, you are going to need Metallurgy 5 and Research 5. So the two research and whatsoever skills, you need to 5 to research them. However, it only takes a day to research each of them, so it's not that bad. If you don't have those skills at some point, you should probably just get them, because at that point you're building T2. You can absolutely afford researching these. Also, these blueprints are pretty cheap, so don't hesitate to have like 2 or 3 of them of each if you need them. That's for this. Keep in mind, these are components. These are advanced components, so you can't build them bonus in R1O. Also, in R1O, this structure is only made for T1, small, medium, large ships. If you wanted to build T2 ships, you want to go to GQ Tech to the CTO. Once you did this, you're basically all good. You are producing these. You're taking all the materials, producing your T2 ships out of it. Now you have to bring them over to R1O. I think there is a bunch of. Give me a second. Yeah. Does anyone know if Ken George's brother is still doing the hauling service? Okay, I'll take that as no. So there used to be a hauling service all through the area. I'm not sure if they are still operating. If not, you can check. You can check out the industry mega thread if someone is hauling from GQ Tech to R1O. If not, you can just ask someone. You can just ask in industry seeding, like, "Hey, is there someone with a jump freighter who could do a quick trip from GQ Tech to R1O for me, and pay him a bit for hauling your stuff over there?" There should be people there should be people who are willing to do that. So, also please keep in mind, do not gate your T1 industrials through the GQ Tech R1O gate, because there is a chance you die there, and you don't want to die with 500 million cargo, which is actually not that much if you're building T2. So, enough talking about T2. There's also capitals. Interestingly enough, freighters are capitals. At some point, you want to get a freighter, because these things are absolutely golden. If you don't have a freighter in industry, you probably are going to want to quit ETH at some point if you're just hauling with 10 endurance, because it's just fucking boring. My experience don't. I did it once, and I promised myself I will never do it again. For example, if you're building battle cruisers, let's say you're building Feroxes. Feroxes, there we go. If you take a Ferox, every Ferox repackaged is, I think, 2,500. 25,000. No, 15,000 cubic meters packaged. So in a Iteron you will get 2 of them. In a freighter with full skills or like pretty good skills, you're getting around, let me say, 70-ish of them. So you can probably imagine the amount of time you're saving by doing 1 freighter run instead of doing, what did I say, 60, 70, so 35 Iteron runs? I got luck. Don't. If you can avoid it, don't, because it takes way too long and it's going to make you quit industry. It's no fun. That part for freighters. Freighters are pretty much a skill, so you have to get, I think, advanced industry, advanced spaceship command 5. You need advanced spaceship command 5, which is around, yeah, let me say, like 2/3 of a week, 2/3 of a month. And then you need the freighter skill, the respective freighter skill, up to 2 or 3 to actually make it worth it. It's already worth it level 1, but you want to have to 2 or 3 because that's a pretty quick train. So altogether, if you want to freighter pilot, it takes you like a month ish. And it will set you back another billion ISK, around like 1.1 billion ISK for a freighter. However, it's such a huge quality of life improvement, so we want to do this if you can somehow manage it. Sooner or later. Obviously, for starting out with industry, you don't absolutely need them. Later, you will want to need them. You will want to have them. Okay, so T3 industry. I said I'm gonna talk a little bit about it. So basically, T3 industry is T2 industry with other materials. With a little difference, because all the materials come from wormhole space, all the reactions are made from wormhole gas, and all the inventions are made with sleeper relics, which are pretty damn expensive. So if you're doing T3 industry, you want to have at least level 4 best max skills for the invention, for the respective invention, because these things will set you back a lot of ISK. Just keep that in mind if you're doing invention with T3s at some point. That is pretty expensive to get into it. And also, if you're getting a bad run, you can lose like a billion ISK for just making a bunch of inventions, because sometimes bad luck is just there. So, any questions to that part?
Yes, please show us how the T3 invention looks like.
Let me see if I have another sleeper relic. If I have one, it's there. And then it's in this. Yeah, I do have. Okay. So this is what sleeper invention looks like. You have a lot of stuff to choose here if you're doing the subsystems, for example. For example, if I said I want to do the Legion defensive, I'm going to choose that. You will need a bunch of data cores again. That's just the standard data cores. For the T3Cs and T3Ds in ships, you will need the data core. You will need the respective race data core and the sleeper data core, which are also found in wormhole space. And then you can again choose the decryptor and start the invention if you had the skills, because this chart doesn't have the skills for reasons. Don't ask me why. So that's basically the same way you would do an invention with sleeper relics. Just keep in mind these things are pretty damn expensive. I think, let me check what they are going for right now, but they are pretty expensive. In general, the hull fragments, so the intact hull fragments, you usually want to do the inventions from intact stuff, because the wrecked and whatever the other ones are called, malfunctioning, I think, they are just not worth inventing. They are too expensive for what they get you, because they get you less runs on the output. You have to you can see here it's 20 runs on the output. It's also the same for T3Ds and T3Cs, so you always get 20 runs out of one of them, which is a lot. However, you have to keep in mind one invention is going to set you back like 80 to 90 million ISK for a T3D and like 60-ish million ISK for a T3C. So yeah, that kind of justifies the 20 runs you get on this. Usually running this with the attainment decryptors, going with 1.8 and having 24 runs out of it is pretty good for the T3Cs and T3Ds, because you're getting the high material and the high time efficiency, because these things take a long time to produce. Like I think a single T3D takes like 16 hours in a T2 rate structure. In a T2 rate studio. I'm actually for asking that for answering that thing in the Twitch chat. I'm actually sitting right in front of my mic, so probably not. It's probably just a configuration thing. I have to double check it after this as well. This much for T3s. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so I have a few last things. First of all, we have the capitals. Capitals are a thing. Let's say we want a revelation. So if you want to build a revelation, in this case a Dread, obviously we're going to need capital components. In general, capital ship blueprint originals are pretty damn expensive. They set you back like 1.5 billion ISK, plus the research, which is pretty expensive as well. These components are a different topic. They cost another billion to 1.5 billion ISK in for the blueprint originals if you want to buy them. Otherwise, you have to buy the copies all the times, and you're going to need a lot of these. For example, 32 turret hardpoints for the revelation, siege arrays, and so on. All this stuff. Turret. Let's do it this way. All these things need minerals again, so you don't have to worry about getting any special materials about it. It's just the minerals you need. And that's it. Hi, Hebos. So that part is this. Now I think I missed something, but I'm not sure what. Give me a second. There's something missing on my notes right now. Oh yeah. That's what I was missing. In general, you can build caps. Yeah, exactly. That was what I was missing. That was what I'm about to say. You can build caps in all structures that have a capital shipyard fitted. These things can only be fitted to Sateos and Asbals for the engineering complexes. So you want to build them in Asbals or Sateos. Keep in mind that a capital that is not a freighter. A freighter is a large ship. For the rigs, however, it is practically a capital. You can you are building a lot of cap components. Same goes for the Orca. It's pretty weird. These two are pretty weird for what they actually are. They are considered large ships for construction, but they are actually capital ships. For all the other capital ships, you can only undock them from an Asbal. You cannot dock a capital ship in an Asbal again. The Asbal only has an undocked bay for the capital ships. We do have Asbals for capital production in HD Tech and RQOO, and we do have the Sotio and GQ Tech, which has a capital shipyard as well. For super caps, we do have a Sotio for super caps, I believe, but it has restricted access. I'm not 100% sure about that. Yeah, it should be that way, right?
It's true.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a different topic, but that absolutely is out of the range of this tutorial. So yeah, that part about cap construction. Keep in mind that if you're building caps, not every structure that has capital construction rigs also has the rigs for component construction. So the components might be a bit more expensive than you expect. Any other questions? that is good. So, like I said, for hauling, you don't want to do this in T1 industrials. You want to do this in freighters. It makes it way easier. Yeah. For getting stuff from Jita, you usually don't want to use your hard char in Jita. If you want to go to Jita, usually you want to make another char that is basically just sitting in Jita. That can be any char, it can be an alpha, it doesn't really matter. It just needs to be a char that can be permanently in Jita, which is not in a player corporation or in a player corporation that cannot be war decked. So you have a char that is safe in Jita, and you don't have to burn up to Jita for every time you're buying something. You should have this already, because this thing is pretty essential for living in nullsec. It just makes the whole game more fun, because you don't have to burn up the Jita every time and maybe get yourself killed in a gate camp or whatsoever. Having that enables you to just contract it to the courier service once it's here with us. You can contract it to your main, or you can just contract it to your main in the Jita, and then move it, then contract it to the courier service from your main, which makes stuff even easier. So yeah, not much to say about it. In general, yeah, that's it about this. Last thing, selling your stuff. There are a few ways to sell your stuff. First up, obviously, is selling your stuff on the local market. So if you just built a bunch of Feroxes, you can just ship them over to the Keepstar, put them up on the market. That's the first way. Second way, you can seed the contracts, which basically means you're going to get all this. You're going to get all the fittings, get everything together, and then put the stuff up on contracts for the price you want to get for it. However, there is quite a competition there, so keep that in mind. Third part is you can sell stuff in Jita. You don't want to do this with T1 hulls, because T1 hulls are pretty dang bulky. I already said this, and it's not worth bringing them to Jita. You're actually paying more risk than you are making on it. So yeah, that's one thing you can keep in mind for that. Industry seeding, I already had that. Yeah, that's basically it. So, any questions about that topic? Okay, any other questions about industry in general? Or are you guys tired of listening to me, or should I just cover reactions real quick as well?
It's just 5 minutes. Go over the reactions,
Yeah,
because it's better. It's better to do the reactions yourself than buy them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do reactions real quick as well. So reactions are a bit different than normal industry. For reactions, let me see. Let me get a reaction formula up here real quick. Reaction formulas are a bit different. They are basically Blueprint originals. However, you see they are looking a bit different, and they are made in Athanos and Tartaros, so in the refineries. To make them efficiently, you want a refinery which obviously has the refinery reactor, or the reactor itself in it as a service module, and you want a refinery that has the rigs for making reactions. Input materials you see are, in this case, carbon polymers and platinum technete. This is a complex reaction. These things go through a chain. For example, if I go to platinum technete, I need platinum and technetium for this. You usually just buying these. Platinum, technetium, or whatever kind of moon goo you are buying. And obviously the fuel box. Having these three things, you can get your stuff. Having these three things in this example, or having the moon goo plus the fuel blocks, makes you able to build the tier 1 basically material, and out of the tier 1 material, in this case the platinum technete, you can make, for example, the fullerenes together with the other material you need for it, I forgot about it. Yeah, to make together with carbon polymers. So you want to do this whole chain. Give me a short second. I'm going to find the link to the thread real quick. Reactions. There we go. That's the thing. Oh no, it's the thing on PL forums. Does someone have the? Oh, never mind. I haven't found it. I'm going to just post into industry seating. There you go. If you check out industry seating, there's a thread link which covers all the reactions, which basically tells you what to do and how to do it. There's a spreadsheet. You want to absolutely look into this. The spreadsheet is so damn great. It helps you a lot with managing your reactions, so definitely put a glance on this. For the skills for reactions, you want mass reactions to 5, advanced mass reactions to 4, allowing you to have a total of 10 reaction slots. You want reactions to 5 because every level reduces the time you need for reactions by 4%, and you want remote reactions to like 2 or 3, depending on how far you need it. After all, you have a few refineries available, which is the Tatara in RQO, there's a Tatara in R10, and there's a Athanor in GQ Tech. These 3 are all available to all Horde for making reactions in them. For the Athanor in GQ Tech, it's not that efficient as using a Tatara. However, you have to keep in mind that there is a job installation cost, and that can be a quite substantial amount of cost. Yeah, basically when you have the sheet, I'm going to go over the sheet real quick with you guys. There we go. I'm gonna make a copy of this real quick because I think it's newer than the one I have. So, going into configuration. Let's say we have one char with level 5 on reaction skills. We're building in the R10 Tatara. Therefore, we have these bonuses, which is basically the bonuses from the Tatara that are calculated by the sheet. And we want a 3-day reaction cycle. We are buying the stuff locally, input materials locally. We are selling the input materials locally at buy, and we are not shipping anything. We are also buying the fuel here at buy. That's all basically assuming the perfect stuff. We are not shipping inputs and outputs because we can buy and sell them locally. That usually works. So now we have to pick a bunch of reactions. We have 10 slots available. We see we have 4 slots already placed here. I'm going to take this away because it's not worth it. Ferrogal, this is the thing. It is a very, very risky thing to build to make Ferrogal, because it tends to be something that changes so quickly that you can get really fucked over by this. So if you want to have something solid, for example, just take something in the medium range of making ISK making. So like in this case, taking hypersynaptics and nanotransistors. Also, always take multiple different reactions, because if one of them gets screwed, you don't get completely screwed over. You just lose a bit ISK. You don't lose like all your ISK you're putting into that. So spread your stuff over multiple stuff. This works for industry in general. And in this case, we have these two. We have profit per slot, 30 and 10 million. We have profit per day, 66 million. And we have a recurring profit of 200 million every 3 days, with an investment of 1.6 billion every 3 days and a initial investment of 3 billion ISK. That is pretty high, because these are pretty expensive. However, they make a lot of ISK in the long term. So if you go to the next step, it says step 3, shopping. You just see you need this, you need all this, and there's no subdirections down there. So you want to say in industry seating again, want to buy all this. If you want to actually buy something locally, you can usually just PM Queen Gaia and PM him what you need from Moongoo, because he's the local or the Alliance Moongoo buybacker. He's selling them at Jita Buy to the beans, and he's buying all the Moongoo we are making from the refineries, from the moon refineries. So yeah, he's responsible of all that. Then you need these fuel blocks, you need these reaction formulas. Obviously you don't have to buy these reaction formulas if you already have them. You can just put them in the optional formulas, and then you have them not on the list anymore. Step 4, react. It says you want to make Disparate in one slot, 53 runs, Neomercurite 53 runs, and so on and so on and so on. That's the build-up phase. That's the first 3 days. In the full chain phase, which is basically after the first 3 days, once you have the first 3 days done, you're making another set of Disparate and all this, and at the same time you're making the 2 intermediate materials. So you basically have the first phase. You have a bit lower because you're not making any ISK yet, because you have to build up your stuff. You have to get the intermediate materials first, and then you can go with the higher materials. The longer you have to keep in mind, the longer the cycles, the less clicks it is. However, the longer the cycles, the higher the risk is, because if for some reason something gets screwed up, you sometimes get into real trouble, because it hurts to lose this on such thing. Okay, any questions on this? Because that's basically it for the reactions. Okay. Any other questions in general on industry? Sounds great. I'm going to check Twitch chat real quick. There's nothing in Twitch chat anymore. Is there anything in Fleet? There's yeah. Okay, Direct Guy was asking something on the settings page. Yep. Give me a second. I'm going to pull the thingy up again. Yes, it does. The sales tax and broker's fee, it does affect it, because you are, if you're buying them, it assumes that you pay these taxes. Obviously, if you're buying from Queen Gaia, you can go this. If you're buying from Queen Gaia and selling to someone else or whatever, buying and selling through contracts, you can go with this. And you see, this makes a difference. It really makes a difference. It's like 40-ish mil per cycle, which is not that bad. Yeah, both of them, the tax and the broker's fee. Yeah, if you're buying and selling through contract, set it to 0. If you're buying them directly in Gitamarkt, if you're buying from, you're basically setting them to your respective values, which is, if you have max skills, it's 2.25, I think, % for sales tax, and 3-ish % for broker's fee. I'm not sure about the broker's fee, it's pretty weird. Then you could just say are you buying from buy or buying from sell or whatsoever, and then you can see it, and then you can get it from Gitamarkt. However, you have to put in shipping outputs, shipping inputs down. If you're buying and selling to Jita, you have to put these in. And obviously, this is cutting into your profits. This is cutting into your profits really, really hard. You see it here. Profits go down like 10 million per cycle. Taxes are for selling. I'm not. So you're paying taxes on selling and buying. However, I'm not 100% sure about the buying, because I think the person who's putting up the order is paying the taxes. if I remember
The
correctly.
sales tax is always paid by the seller. The broker is paid by whoever
Okay.
put the order up.
Okay, that way. Thanks. So that's cleared. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Yeah, that's true. 0.5% the Tranquility Trading Tower. However, TTT usually moves a bit slower than Jita, so that's the thing. If you want to, if you have the ISK spare and you can just afford to have them sit there for a week or something until someone buys them, you can do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't really recommend selling in TTT right now. Yeah, sales tax. Sales tax is always 5% base minus I think 11% per level of. Is it accounting? I think it's accounting. It's in a second. I'm pretty sure it's accounting.
It's accounting.
Yeah, it's accounting.
It's 2.25 at max skill.
Yeah, 2.25. So I think that's it. Is it? Okay, in that case, thank you everyone for coming, and we will see us sometime soon, either in Fleet or in some other class. We'll see whether I have time and whether I really want to do another class in the next few days, because for now my finger is just hurting from holding down the push to talk button all the time. So yeah, see you around. No problem, stream. I'm going to put down the stream as well, so the recording of this will be available in the videos. I'm going to actually put it up on YouTube as well, so this is going to be conserved above the 14 days that Twitch is saving it up. So if you want to rewatch it, obviously you can. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming, and see you guys around.